Hi, hi everyone. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. This is our library lunch hour for Navidad Boricua, sharing materials from Centro related to Christmas. The Christmas season is exceedingly important in our Puerto Rican community, and Puerto Ricans all over the world celebrate the longest holiday season. Our holidays last around 45 days, starting after Thanksgiving Day and extend through mid-January, with culminating in the Fiestas de la Calle de San Sebastián. Some of the typical traditional things that we do is we sing in parrandas, is Puerto Rican versions of Christmas carols, where friends and families gather in front of houses late at night with instruments like guiros and cuatros and panderas and panderetas to sing traditional aguinaldos or Christmas songs. And unlike a lot of the other Western world, Nochebuena is what we celebrate most especially. For us, Puerto Ricans, Nochebuena is Christmas. And it's the night where we gather together. We have a traditional Puerto Rican dinner of arroz con gandules and pasteles and a little bit of coquito. And we exchange gift and we go out on our parrandas. And those of us that observe, we go and we celebrate La Misa del Gallo, or the midnight mass. But Christmas is not the end all be all for Puerto Rican holiday season. For many people, the Three Kings celebration is what the holiday season is all about. And so on January 6th, Puerto Rico celebrates the Three Kings Day. And this is the day that the three wise men visited Jesus upon his birth. And Puerto Rican children, they gather grass and hay and they put it at the foot of their beds so that los tres reyes, horses or camels, depending, in my family it was horses, will give you presents in exchange for the hay. And if you think that's when the party ends, no, we celebrate las octavitas. And so we keep celebrating for up to 8 days. And at the end of those 8 days, we have a huge party in La Calle de San Sebastián. I want to give a special thanks to a gift that was given to us from the people at Ansonia Records. The music that you were listening to at the beginning of the webinar was their Ansonia Navidad playlist on Spotify, which is going to be, yep, it's right there in the chat. If you want to listen to Chuito el de Bayamón, that's a fun playlist to listen to of canciones típicas, very reminiscent of what it's like to be in Puerto Rico. So today's programming, we're going to be looking at a couple of video clips produced by Centro related to Puerto Rican traditions for the holidays. One is the Coquito competition, Coquito Masters, which was part of our PR Voices documentary television program. And then we're going to have an overview of library materials that we have relating to Christmas and Época Navideña. And we're going to finish up with a video that I like very much that Centro produced about una pastelada, the traditional making of pasteles in home. So I hope that you guys enjoy this little taste of Puerto Rican holiday tradition. And if you have any questions, we'll take questions at the end. And know that Centro is open again for in-person visits. So you can also make an appointment to come view materials. Anything that you saw here today, you can make an appointment. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna show you guys that first video clip, Coquito Masters. I know I'm a big fan of Coquito, and I know a lot of you are probably big fans of Coquito as well. So let's go ahead and
Coquito is a traditional drink that's served during the holidays in the Puerto Rican community. It's made with evaporated milk, condensed milk, vanilla, cinnamon, rum, and a host of other secret ingredients that families bring to it. 13 years ago, the coquito maker in my family had passed away, and I realized that I didn't have any coquitos, so I decided as a joke to invite my friends over for a tree trimming party, and we would have a coquito contest where we would line up the coquitos on the counter, and everyone just tasted, and the winner walked right here, like waving like a beauty queen, and it just grew. The Coquito Masters concept began in 2001, and it started out as the Coquito Tasting Contest with the idea to celebrate Coquito and bring Coquito where people can taste it and rate it, similar to a wine tasting. And it started here in my house, and then it went to across the street to Casabe Senior Citizen Center, went to some restaurants in the community, and then the Museo de Barrio in 2006 graciously extended an invitation to host it. And what happened there was that we would have the coquito just lined up. People would taste. It wasn't a blind taste test, but there were still ballads and they were still counting. So in 2008, the popularity had grown so much that we had an overwhelming response of 48 coquitos and 675 people that showed up. And after that experience, we kind of reevaluated, have a discussion with the Museo, and they kind of suggested why not think about taking it to the community. And that was a breaking point from the Coquito Tasting Contest into Coquito Masters, where we had the qualifier concept. We went into the boroughs, we identified venues, we collaborated with people, and we extended invitations to local community coquito makers from that borough to come compete and then represent the borough in the finals at the Museo de Barrio. So I have a certificate for the National Conference of Puerto Rican Women who came tonight, wore their sashes. So the contest was then transformed into more of a qualifying phase and representation from different boroughs. And it also created the opportunity to bring out those coquito makers at the local level that kind of were hesitant. So I think that Coquito Masters creates the opportunity for a new generation of coquito makers, but it also serves as an opportunity to create an informed coquito consumer, because sometimes people don't know anyone else that they can go to for coquito, and that may be a bad coquito. So with this project, we find that we open up the doors for consumers as well as coquito makers. In terms of recipes, there's different schools of thought with recipes. There's the traditional old school, but I think old school is not the right term to apply, because it's just a different method. And that's with making a tea, where people take the coconut water and they put cinnamon and they put nutmeg and they put ginger in it, and they let that brew. And that brew is the basis for the coquito. And then what you do is you heat up the evaporated milk and the leche condensada, and then the other spices that you put in. And then the method is that you put it in one pot, and then you kind of heat that up and let it stir and simmer so that the flavors blend. And then you use a real coconut, where you grate the coconut as well. So that's a different piece. And then the other one is the coquito de lata, so to speak, because that's what some people call it, and I don't think that's right. But you use the blender, where you put everything in the blender, and then in both cases you do add the rum, and the rum is of your choice. And that's a whole different discussion in terms of the type of rum. Is it just one rum? Is it rum plus other things? You know, because there's people that put other alcohols in their coquito. There's people that put in fruits and other things. So I think that basically there's two methods: the one that's on the stove and the one that's in the blender. And then the method in terms of the preparation, when do you put in different ingredients determines on the thickness and the consistency, and also influences the taste. I think that Coquito is the link back to Puerto Rico. It's the link back to home. It's the link to a sense of celebration and pride. But also, it's only done interestingly during the holiday season, because you really don't see a lot of people drinking Coquito in the summer. So I think it's a seasonal beverage. It's a traditional holiday beverage, and it's part of the components that we bring to the community when we celebrate the holidays. Because there's eggnog, but our twist is people call it a Caribbean eggnog, a Puerto Rican eggnog, but I think it's more than that. I think it's part of a dialogue of culinary excellence.
I'm going to put the coquito in the green bottle.
It grew because people really liked the idea of bringing Coquito to an event that represented their family and their history, and an opportunity to promote Puerto Rican cuisine. I think that Puerto Ricans in the diaspora have transformed the recipe, but they have also kept to the traditional recipe. And with this contest, what I found was there was a need to separate out the traditional coquitos from the alternative fusion coquitos without judgment, because it represents us as a people in our own evolution.
That was one of the episodes of our Puerto Rican Voices documentary series, which can be seen on our website. If you scroll down to our Centro TV, you will see the whole series. We have over 80 episodes. It's an award-winning documentary series. I did not know there was such a thing as fusion coquitos, which is wild to me. So I have to find a place that makes some of these fusion coquitos. But what I do know is that it is a beverage that is popular throughout the Caribbean, and different cultures have different names for it and different iterations of it. So whether they call it like ponche, or they call it coquito, a lot of it is derived from rum and different types of milks. They're quite good. Something that I do want to, I'm pretty happy that we can pull off today in the holiday spirit, is that two random attendees from today will be gifted with a Centro gift bag that contains a couple of nice items that we're going to send your way. It's a surprise. But at the end, we're gonna take everybody's email addresses that is registered for this event and that attended tonight, or rather this afternoon, and we're gonna randomly select two winners. And you will receive some nice Centro gifts from us in the holiday spirit. When I started just thinking about what I was going to show for this library lunch hour, I didn't think that our library had that many items related to Christmas. And I was quite mistaken. The Central Library has dozens of books relating to Christmas. So I put together a bit of a slideshow to provide information about books relating to Christmas that you can come in and view, or you can ask me if you want this list. I can send this list as well, but I'm going to go ahead and share that right now, and I'm going to narrate a little bit as I scroll through some of the items that we have here. So among the many items that we have in our library collections related to Navidad is cancioneros. And cancioneros are songbooks that contain traditional Puerto Rican songs that are sung during the holiday season. This is one that was produced by the Migration Division and Departamento de Trabajo from the Puerto Rican government. And you can see some of the classical songs that are sung during the era, and all of the iconography, like the poinsettia here. And these lovely songbooks. We have dozens of them in our collection. Again, I was absolutely floored by how many cancioneros we had in our collection. And you know, a lot of them are Three Kings related, and a lot of them are specifically Nativity and Christmas related. Here's another Canciones de Navidad. This one's from 1966, according to the call number. And something that I want to bring everyone's attention to is just the beautiful design that the Puerto Rican government and the different Puerto Rican agencies used. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't really know, is that some of the greatest Puerto Rican artists and graphic designers, Rafael Tufino and Lorenzo Omar, Antonio Martorell, they were the ones that did a lot of this work. They were contracted to produce these works, and another couple of prominent people that I'll name later. So this is Canciones de Navidad, and this was produced by the Department of Education in Puerto Rico. So this is possibly something that was given to children in the classroom. And this is División de Educación de la Comunidad. This is DEVEDCO, was the government office that was responsible for this. And DEVEDCO is a topic that we're going to go into in a later library lunch hour. They've produced a number of posters, they produced books, and they produced movies as well. So again, if you just look at the wonderful graphic design and the art that goes into these, the songs themselves are very beautiful, but I always appreciate looking at the art when I look through these books. This is one called Canciones de Navidad, and this is from 1954. You can see the image of a man holding a güiro. And this is from Departamento de Instrucción Pública. This is another one called Flor de Villancicos. And this is again from the Department of Education. This is 1964. And the artwork and the production value is incredible. And these were for public consumption. These were for everyone. This is one, Aguinaldos de Puerto Rico. There's Christmas Songs of Puerto Rico. I'm not sure what year this one is from. This is a more recent one. This is from 2017, Colección de Bombas Navideñas by Carlos Reyes. This is another songbook, more recent, you know, from the last 30 years or so, Cantemos, another songbook. This is a really interesting book. This is Aguinaldos del Infante. And it was designed and illustrated by Irene and Jack Delano. Again, just beautifully designed. Wonderful treasures. I feel like I was given gifts just by being able to find these in our library. Every time I found another one, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't wait to share this. And then we have other works that are more academic in nature. El Aguinaldo y su evolución. That have a more analytical look at different holiday music. La letra, la armonía. And we have all sorts of publications for children's books. These are different children's books. This one specifically Yaucano. And we have academic dissertations also about Puerto Rican holiday music. The bomba and aguinaldo of Puerto Rico, as they have evolved from indigenous African and European cultures, by Mr. James A. McCoy. And this is from a Doctor of Philosophy, 1968. Florida State University. So even back in 1968, there were people doing research on our music. It's very comprehensive. Derivations of Spanish musical forms, indigenous musical forms, development of the aguinaldo, Puerto Rican aguinaldo and the Spanish villancico compared. So a comparative analysis of the different musical styles. And of course, the purpose and the abstract of the study, and some examples. This book in particular was interesting to me. This was a community publication. This is the second edition of the book. Their first edition was from 1972. And it's Marta Montañez, and she produced this Arts Inc. at 32 Market Street. And it was a book produced for children and families living in the diaspora that was designed to teach them about the history of Noche Buena and our traditional Puerto Rican celebrations. Dia de Reyes teaches children about parrandas and all the different musical instruments that are used. It provides educational resources of different definitions for children and bilingual. So, you know, Noche Buena is Christmas Eve. Some of the traditional dishes that were offered. And it provides recipes as well. So this was a book in 1972 that was providing recipes for children and families in the diaspora of pasteles and coquito. This is a book that is of tarjetas navideñas, holiday cards. I believe this was an exhibit that was produced. Yeah, in it was a museum exhibit. So this is an exhibition guide, and they did a exposición de postales, exhibition of holiday cards in 1988. And you can see some of the people that are in this exhibition, some of the people that produced holiday cards, and there are several famous names among them. So you'll see Antonio Martorell produced several, and you'll see that Carlos Osorio produced one. It's pretty interesting. And this is a book that was produced as the part of the Libros del Pueblo by Devedco. And again, the amount of effort and graphic design, the level of the artists that were used for these community publications is incredible. I don't think it's something that we see very much anymore nowadays. But again, these were didactic works that were created to provide instruction to the community about, what is Christmas and what is a villancico. And very funny to me, who is Santa Claus? Because Santa Claus is a very North American entity or a European entity. So they were explaining to children who might not know who Santa Claus is or might not understand the traditional interpretation of Santa Claus as a gift giver, right? Maybe these young Puerto Rican children only ever got their gifts from Los Tres Reyes. So they're explaining, ¿Quién es Santa Claus? And what is a Christmas tree? So these are the differences in our cultures that are being explained here. And again, if anyone wants to come and see these in person, you can make an appointment at Centro to come check them out. We have the entire collection of Los Libros del Pueblo. And they go on to discuss the Navidad in different parts of the world. And I just can't get over how beautiful the art is. Any one of these pictures would look beautiful as a poster on a wall. And there's another Libro de Navidad, also produced by Devedco. This is like a etching. Discussing our communities and our traditions. Different songs. And for me, what's really beautiful is the coloring process. They're so beautiful that even in these scans, they come across really well. This Christmas story, El Cazador y el Soñador, Milagro de Navidad, is very interesting to me. And it's again by the Departamento de Instrucción Pública. We're looking at a second edition from 1967. The interesting part to me is that you have a powerhouse creative team behind this work. You have René Marquez, who wrote this work, and the graphic design and illustrations by Rafael Tufiño, and Antonio Maldonado, who did the cover. It's just, amazing. Like, this is a work by René Marquez that was produced mostly for children for the holidays. This is another work by René Marquez produced for the holidays. And this one is specifically a Drama Comunal de Navidad. So a Christmas pageant, as we would know them here. So this is a production, a theater community production that's designed to be produced by people that aren't, actors or actresses or directors. This is for people within communities, most of the time church communities. And René Marquez is the one who produced this. And then we have these nanas, or nursery rhymes, by Esther Feliciano Mendoza. We have a nice note that Esther left us, or left to Augusto Rodriguez, who she dedicated the book to. And this book uses a beautiful 3-color illustration process. So you have the black line, and then you have red, and you have blue to create the different tones in the illustrations, which I find to be completely captivating. And this was produced in 1959. At first I thought that these were like vandalism that someone had done in my book, and I was a little upset, but then I realized this is the actual design, illustrating the 3-color process that they use for the coloring of the book. And it looks even nicer in person if you look at this book. The scans look pretty good, but having the book in hand is phenomenal. And these are the nursery rhymes that people would read to their children. And then we have all sorts of different books for different communities, for different reading levels. If you have a lot of interest and a lot of knowledge, or if you would just start getting in, or just trying to introduce your children and your family to what our traditions are, we have different materials available, including lots of really nice children's books. And a lot of contemporary children's books, and a lot of older children's books as well. Los Tres Santos Reyes. This work by Teodoro Vidal. Many Puerto Rican households put nativity scenes out during this time. And this one is very similar to one that my family would put out during the holidays. And probably many of your families also had similar nativity scenes. And it just has some historical background of some of the traditions. This photo from Vega Baja. And the Three Kings really is a tradition, I think, that it needs to be reinforced as something that is very Puerto Rican, and something that I think children, the story is beautiful, and the traditions around the Three Kings are very nice as well. And it's a very nice way to provide your kids with some extra presents as well. And I really love this book, Jose's Christmas Secret. It's published in 1962. And it's about a Nuyorican family and little Jose and the things that he does to try to make some money for Christmas. And the illustrations are I find them to be very compelling. And it does use this Puerto Rican traditional touchstones, such as playing domino, having arroz con dulce. So there are Puerto Rican traditions and words that were spread throughout this work that was produced for children in 1962. And I believe this is a scholastic publication as well. And little Jose would deliver Christmas trees for people for 10 cents. And that's how he was making money. And I think this is a good example of like an early bilingual text for children, or at least it has some bilingual elements. I originally didn't know exactly how many works I would have to share with all of you today, but I was really surprised by the lovely collection of materials I was able to find in our library. And this is only some. I found over 65 books relating to Christmas and the Three Kings. I wanted to make sure I left something, a bit of a mystery to you all. So the last thing that I'm going to show is another program that Centro produced. And this is going to be available on our YouTube page. You can go to Centro's YouTube page and look at this video, and it's about traditional pastelada that was done by one of Centro's employees, and I think you guys will really enjoy this.
Winter is a challenging time for this Boricua. I still don't get completely used to the harsh weather and to spend so much time indoors. But when the holiday season comes, I know there will be a little bit of all these great things to hold on to. Because no matter how cold it gets outside or how snowy, the family will get together. And nothing brings family together better than pasteles. Making pasteles is a family event on its own. I was able to extract a recipe from my Auntie Julia and some ultra secret tips from my Auntie Doris. They make the best pasteles in my family, at least on this side of the Atlantic. I bought the ingredients that morning: achiote seeds, corn oil, Spanish olives, roasted peppers o pimientos morrones, evaporated milk, parchment paper, banana leaves, and kitchen twine. Let's not forget the sofrito, onions, garlic, green peppers, and cilantro. Also, a nice piece of pernil and a slice of cooking ham. And of course, get the fresh ingredients: 6 bunches of green bananas, 2 yautías, 2 potatoes, 2 green plantains, and a quarter of a calabaza. I spent $50 for all the ingredients, and we will be making 50 pasteles. So I'm prepping the work area for the pastelada: graters, mixing bowls, cutting boards, kitchen towels, aprons, and of course, café. Let's peel viandas and put them in salty water. Then grate them using the finer part of the grater. Boil the pernil skin and bone and save the water. Some of it will be used to cook the pernil and ham. My aunt cut away the excess fat from pernil and cut it in half-inch cubes. Prepare the paper and the banana leaves. To clean the leaves, wash with water, then pass over the stove open fire for a few seconds. Pre-cut the twine to the measure of 1 yard each. Wrap pasteles in parchment paper and banana leaf, folding first in half, then over. Always push the masa with your hands so that it stays tight inside the paper. Use a plate to hold one side while folding the other. Make sure you tie pasteles tightly and that the knot sits on top of the folding. I know you want to make your own pasteles and you should try this at home. Although I cannot share my tia's crafty hands and experience ability with you, I'm sure you'll be able to recruit a collective of pastel lovers to take on the festive, although arduous task of the pastelada. Let's keep the pasteles making tradition going anywhere you are, and you may feel closer to home wherever home is.
All right, that really put me in the Puerto Rican holiday spirit. And I haven't had lunch yet. Uh, so I am very hungry now, and it's going to be hard to find pasteles around here at this time. Um, but someone asked, were any of the books that I showed digitized? Unfortunately not. No, a lot of those books um, were small publications, small editorial houses, and they are not digitized. But if you want, you can always reach out to me, and I can provide scans of books, especially the books from DeVetco, from the División de Educación. And I can provide scans. You can email us at centro.library@hunter.cuny.edu. They'll put my email address in the chat as well. There's also a link in the chat to make an appointment if you want to view anything here. I know this time of the year is a time for reflection. I know here at Centro, we're all reflecting on the difficulties of the last couple of years now, and the difficulties that our families back in Puerto Rico suffer every single day. But the one thing that makes us happy is thinking about the traditions that we share with one another, and including the drinking the coquito and eating the pasteles, and sharing gifts, whether they're brought to you from Santa Claus or brought to you from the Three Kings. I genuinely hope that you get to keep some of these traditions alive, and you go and sing parrandas with your family, and that you eat some lechon asado as the song is going. And thank you for sharing in the chat. There are people that are sharing their memories. And it's true, yeah, doing things like pasteladas is a good way to connect with different generations. It's a good way to share family stories. And keep those pasteles frozen year round, so you can have a little bit of Christmas any time of year. And if you have any questions about anything that you saw here today, I want to make sure that you know the proper avenues to reach out to us. Thank you so much, all of you, and everyone who's attended our library lunch hours throughout the year. This is going to be the last one for this year, but we will come back in January with a new series of library lunch hours. You have all made this exceedingly special for me, and being able to share what we have in the library is very important to me as a librarian at Centro. Many of you have actually come to visit the Centro Library, which I'm exceedingly happy about, because you get to see what we do in person. Those of you that cannot make it to Centro in person, I understand that us Puerto Ricans are a very dispersed community. Know that you always have friends at Centro that can help you answer any questions that you may have. And that we're very happy to provide scans of any of the material that you saw here today. Should you want to share some of the traditional songs, the nursery rhymes, the parrandas that you saw here today, I want to thank again the people at Ansonia Records for providing the music that you're listening to right now. We posted a link to that Spotify playlist, so you can listen to some traditional Puerto Rican music while you celebrate with your loved ones. And we're going to take the list of all of the emails of the people who attended today's talk, and two people will be selected at random to receive some Centro gifts. So check your spam folder. We're going to reach out to you individually, and hopefully we can make your holiday a little sweeter with some Centro swag. So that's going to be it from me. I want to wish everybody Feliz Navidad, Feliz Dia de los Reyes. And thank you very much for making our library lunch hours successful and fun, and a nice way to spend our lunches together. And until then, have a great rest of the year.